Hello again. My name is Görkem Güngör. Today I will make a presentation on the integrative overview of the article titled Impacts of Cultural Consumption on Urban Carbon Dioxide Emissions, Policy Evidence from China. This is the outline of my presentation. The urban areas are significant contributors to global carbon dioxide emissions, and rapid developing cities such as in China, are supported by carbon emission reduction policies, mostly through supply-side policies to reduce the emissions from power generation and also fossil fuel consumption through command and control approaches. Also, there are opportunities on the demand side, and this article considers the global cultural leisure economy, which reached 2.4 trillion US dollars in 2024, with China taking approximately 20% by 480 billion US dollars. And this spending on cultural leisure has been increasing faster than GDP in China for 9 consecutive years. So there's a big economy coming from cultural leisure economy. And the case study is for China's National Culture and Tourism Consumption Pilot Program, which is evaluated as an indirect demand-side strategy. This strategy does not directly focus on environmental protection and energy efficiency. And through the program, the aim is to shift consumption behavior to less carbon-intensive activities. There are co-benefits from the program, which include fostering green innovation, particularly in regions with advanced service sectors and digital infrastructure. Normally, without any policy, culture and leisure spendings would result in higher carbon dioxide emissions, but together with planning, the aim is to contribute to climate mitigation on the demand side as an indirect policy. The Porter hypothesis states that through the implementation of environmental-oriented policies, the firms face costs related to these policies, and in order to mitigate these costs and also further increase the competitive power, these firms would invest in green research and development, increase eco-innovative activities, and eventually improve their and their region's environmental performance. And the aim is to be much better off than before the policy was implemented. The eco-innovation theory, there are layers starting from macro government level down to pressure groups, where the pressure groups would force further the employees and the customers for eco-innovation. And on the firms, the employees and the customers would support together on the supply and demand side for ecological innovative activities. There are multiple definitions in the article, but I selected the definition, which is the production, assimilation, or exploitation of a product, production process, service or management or business method that is novel to the organization, that was not done before, and resulting throughout the life cycle in the reduction of environmental risk, pollution, and other negative impacts of resource use compared to relevant alternatives. The problem of the article The rapidly developing cities, urban areas are hotspots for carbon emissions. As they develop, as the population increase, as the production increase, their emissions also increase. But they are also the driving forces for green energy transition through technology, innovation, and incentives on clean transition of final energy demand. The article considers the cultural and tourism consumption, which could yield environmental co-benefits by shifting urban behavior towards less carbon-intensive activities. And for this, social and political indirect policies towards climate change could favor incentivizing entrepreneurship and innovation with further environmental co-benefits. As this is an indirect policy, there would be less resistance against its implementation, and it could contribute to supply-side policies through indirect implementation of policies towards climate change. And putting in simple words, we can ask, can a demand-side welfare-oriented program contribute to climate mitigation? The research questions are related to the baseline hypothesis, which is tested in this research article. The first one asks, does participation to the plan reduce urban per capita carbon dioxide emissions? There is before the plan and after the plan periods, and comparing them would provide opportunity to test this hypothesis. And if so, to what extent is any emission reduction mediated by green innovation? Does green innovation has contributing effect to climate mitigation through the implementation of an indirect policy? And this would be in line with the extended Porter hypothesis. The third question is, do service sector agglomeration and digitalization amplify or condition the plan's environmental effects? Cities have different production sectors. Their contributions are different throughout China, and also depending on the development level, cities have different digitalization infrastructure. So the third question asks whether these service sector agglomeration and digitalization would affect further climate mitigation through the implementation of an indirect policy. The aim of this study is to make a quasi-experimental analysis. This is a natural experiment, but semi-natural, because we cannot directly determine the control and treatment sample groups. And this assessment is based on micro-level firm and household data, which is collected from national accounts and global accounts. There is also the assessment of the interaction between indirect cultural consumption policies and low-carbon initiatives, such as carbon markets and green finance. Policies are not implemented as standalone instruments. They have interaction with other policies, which can be direct or indirect, and these interactions should also be assessed. And the study takes panel data on 284 prefecture-level cities in China over the period from 2015 to 2023. The year 2020 is the implementation of the plan. Before 2020 is pre-plan implementation, and after 2020 we have post-plan implementation. The difference in difference method is used by the researchers. What it means is that there are already differences between the treatment and the control sample groups. But these treatments should have a similar trend. And after the policy implementation, there should be a difference between these differences of trends. The main findings from the policy implementation are that the indirect policies towards climate change could face less resistance against their implementation. The baseline results show significantly lower carbon dioxide per capita emissions in pilot project cities. The cities with producer services, agglomeration, and digital infrastructure have more mitigation power from the pilot project, and the cultural demand policies complement low carbon regulation and industrial policies. So through the Porter hypothesis and the eco-innovation, the integrating cultural consumption policies would engage households and firms for green innovation, foster green innovation in demand sectors, and promote cleaner, service-oriented urban development. I thank you very much for your kind attention.